The other day, I posted a video exploring the idea of Ripple potentially replacing the United States Federal Reserve. Today, I want to revisit some of those thoughts, but take the discussion in a new direction. Could the United States government ever actually need XRP? This is such an exciting topic, especially with all the buzz around the US Strategic Reserve and talks of governments receiving gifted assets. Tired of fake gurus who claim to be expert traders but never trade live? I trade live on the second largest crypto exchange, where everything is transparent and results can't be faked. For over 440 days, I've consistently closed every month in profit. In the last 90 days alone, my followers have earned over $34,000 in profits with only 4% drawdown. Verified results, not empty claims. Want to see my verified stats? Click the first link in my profile and start copying my trades for free today. Ripple, with its massive reserve of XRP, has long envisioned distributing it to powerful global players to help shape the future of the financial system. But does it make sense for Ripple to step into the Federal Reserve's shoes? And could this lead to XRP being handed over to the US government? In this video, we'll dive deep into these questions and unpack the fascinating possibilities. This is one conversation you definitely don't want to miss. Let's dive straight into one of the most debated topics in this whole discussion. Where exactly does Ripple fit into the big picture? Some people have been saying Ripple is going to replace the United States Federal Reserve someday, but honestly, I don't think that's the case. It seems to stem from a misunderstanding of how the US monetary system actually works. The idea of Ripple replacing the Federal Reserve overlooks a key point. The Fed is a vital part of the US government's financial framework. It plays a central role in money creation and is critical to the entire process. Yes, technically, the Federal Reserve is considered an independent entity, but let's be real. It functions as a government proxy agency in almost every way that matters. Here's how the system really works. The US Treasury issues debt in the form of bonds. Big players like banks, mutual funds, and other investors buy up these bonds, enabling the government to issue that debt. Then, the Federal Reserve steps in, purchasing those treasuries from the investors. This action injects cash back into the banking system, effectively keeping the wheels of the financial system turning. So, while Ripple is innovative, replacing the Federal Reserve, that's a different story. Here's how money flows into the financial system. It all starts with debt. While the process is more complex than it seems, let's break it down simply. The US government issues debt, and the Federal Reserve injects money into the system by purchasing that debt. Essentially, the Fed hands banks dollars in exchange for repurchasing Treasury debt. It's a loop, and without the Federal Reserve playing its role, money creation as we know it would grind to a halt. Our current monetary system is built on debt. Money begins with its creation. Whether that's the right or wrong way to issue money is a debate for another time, but for now, that's the framework we have. Despite some flaws, the system isn't showing signs of collapsing anytime soon. Sure, it's an ongoing experiment, and like all experiments, it comes with uncertainties. How long will it last? Who knows? But right now, it seems stable enough to keep going, at least for the foreseeable future. The idea of Ripple swooping in to replace the traditional money creation process doesn't really add up. It's not even what Ripple does. But here's where things get interesting. The system we use to move money is outdated and full of inefficiencies. Ripple's strength lies in fixing that. It's not about reinventing the core principles of money creation or flipping the financial system on its head. Instead, Ripple upgrades the infrastructure, putting the same rules and policies on faster, smarter rails. This is why Ripple's role is so pivotal. It's not about scrapping the way money has worked for decades. Let's face it, no one's signing up for that. Instead, Ripple brings the transformation we need without tearing down the system we've relied on for over 50 years. The collapse of the current system might be inevitable, but that doesn't mean we can't make it more efficient in the meantime. Imagine keeping the same rules in place, but upgrading the infrastructure to streamline how everything works. That's where Ripple comes in. Ripple isn't here to tear down the Federal Reserve or replace it outright. That wouldn't solve anything. Swapping one system for another that does the exact same thing, that's just a lateral move. Instead, Ripple is about upgrading the rails of the financial system, keeping the foundation, but modernizing it with better, faster, and smarter technology. Ripple's strength lies in revolutionizing how the system operates, not by reinventing the wheel, but by replacing clunky old pipes with state-of-the-art plumbing. Whether the financial system stays debt-backed or shifts to something entirely new, Ripple and XRP are ready to serve as the backbone. Blockchain technology becomes the new accounting system, and Ripple simply ensures the water flows smoothly, no matter how the game evolves. Humans have essentially built a framework for how money should work, an outdated system running on analog banking rails. But there's a better way. Imagine shifting to lightning-fast, efficient blockchain technology. That's where Ripple comes in. Ripple doesn't just work within the system, it underpins it, sitting beneath the layers of government agencies, banks, and the entire money creation process. Think of it as a massive upgrade to the financial system's core. And even if the future brings a new model, whether it's debt-backed, gold-backed, or something entirely different, we'll still need fast, accurate, and reliable infrastructure to power it. Ripple is that infrastructure, ready to become the backbone of whatever comes next. Let's kick off this video by clearing something up. Ripple isn't here to replace the Federal Reserve, the Treasury, or anything like that. Instead, Ripple is more like an upgrade to the financial system's plumbing, powered by XRP. Now, with that out of the way, let's dive into why the US government might actually need XRP one day. To shed some light on this, I have an interesting clip from Mark Yusko. Yes, you heard that right. Mark Yusko, who's not exactly known for being an XRP fan, shared some surprising thoughts on this topic during Good Morning Crypto. Yusko is a billionaire with deep connections, so hearing him mention XRP shows this conversation isn't just limited to die-hard enthusiasts. Grab your headphones and listen closely. He talks about legislation potentially expanding beyond Bitcoin to include XRP, Cardano, and even Hedera. Let's break down what this could mean for the future of finance. You know, those founders have been cozying up to the administration and to Eric. Honestly, it feels like Eric, his son, is the one pulling a lot of strings here, so we'll see where this goes. Now, the idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve is buzzing again. Bitcoin, being digital gold, makes that case pretty clear. Everything else in the crypto world plays a different role. Could it happen? Maybe not in the first 100 days, but there's chatter. And here's where the XRP crowd might want to pay attention. There's talk, just talk mind you, that XRP could be tapped for use in a central bank digital currency or even as the foundational layer for national banking. If that happens, and it's a big if, it could shake up the game entirely. It's one of those wait-and-see moments that could be massive. All of this ties back to what we're diving into next. And trust me, it gets even juicier. The idea isn't Ripple storming into Washington and declaring, "We're part of the government now." But what they're hinting at, it could change everything. We're about to see a big shift. No, it's not about minting money out of thin air. It's about recognizing the need for digital currency. The old analog system? It's outdated and clunky. So, who's the government going to lean on to create this new era of money? Let's be real. The US government isn't exactly known for innovation or cutting-edge tech. They don't build, they collaborate. They turn to the private sector to drive innovation, to build the tools they'll eventually adopt. And this is where things get interesting. The private sector will lead the charge. And there's no company better positioned than Ripple. No one in the crypto space has the connections or the head start they do. That's the game changer. Seriously, they've got former Treasury officials sitting on their board. They're surrounded by ex-government insiders for a reason. These guys get it. They see the big picture. They know the entire financial system, all the intricate plumbing, is heading for an upgrade to digital rails. And let's be real, when the US government decides to make that leap, they're going to need experts to lead the charge. But let me be clear, it's not about tearing the system down and building something brand new with a completely different foundation. Nope, we're not talking about reinventing money or backing currency with something radical here. It's about evolution, not revolution. The system we have today isn't going anywhere, but imagine it running on turbocharged, ultra-efficient rails. That's where we're headed. A monetary system finally in sync with today's cutting-edge technology. Ripple is perfectly positioned to play a key role in this transformation, not by replacing the Fed, but by partnering with it, alongside the Treasury and other major entities, to rebuild the financial infrastructure on blockchain technology. Will everything run on the public XRP ledger? Not at all. Private chains, interconnections, and a network of systems will work together seamlessly to power this new era. This isn't just evolution, it's revolution, built to thrive in the real world. As we all know, keeping everything locked away in isolated walled gardens doesn't drive progress. Imagine if we all had private camera rolls, but no way to share, no social media, no photo posts, no way to connect. We'd be stuck in isolated silos, and innovation would grind to a halt. The magic happens when things go public. That's where ideas flourish, connections are made, and networks grow in ways private systems can't replicate. The same principle applies to money. As blockchain technology begins to play a bigger role in the US government, and the global financial system interoperability becomes critical. Banks, governments, and financial institutions need to communicate and collaborate seamlessly. That's why public chains are not just important, they're indispensable. They're the foundation of a connected future. I believe that's the direction we're heading. And when you hear this next clip, you'll see how Ripple's escrow, centralized software, and XRP could become integral to this evolving financial ecosystem. In Ripple's early days, they made it clear they weren't aiming to be just another company. They wanted to put a dent in the universe. Their vision? XRP as a global strategic reserve asset. Now think about this. If you were creating a reserve asset for the entire world, would you just hand it over to retail users and say, here you go, do whatever you want with it, traffic stuff, trade it, who cares? That doesn't sound like the approach you'd take for something so significant, does it? Instead, you'd likely focus on laying the groundwork. Sure, you'd involve retail users initially to build liquidity and drive network effects, but you'd keep the bigger picture in mind. The true key players, the ones who will shape the future, would come in later. You wouldn't give it all away up front. You'd plan for the long game. Think about what happened with Bitcoin. It was mostly distributed before big institutions even got involved. But Ripple seems to have a different strategy. Instead of handing out their supply randomly, why not save some for the world's biggest financial players? That's likely been the idea behind Ripple's escrow all along. Why rush to distribute it to everyday users when the real impact lies in allocating it to key financial institutions? If this technology is going to change the world, it needs to be in the hands of those who can truly drive that change. Now check this out. Howard Lutnick explains how the US government can accept a gifted asset from an approved vendor. He describes what a gratis vendor is, a company that provides products to the government without selling them. It's a fascinating concept that ties into how Ripple might strategically position itself. Listen closely to his insight. It's worth it. So, I don't have to jump through hoops to become an official vendor because you're essentially handing it to us. And if we're talking about Article 2, the president's domain, then the president can accept it directly. Now let's face it, the US will eventually upgrade the outdated banking rails. It's only a matter of time, as the current system is sluggish and inefficient. If we're right that blockchain technology, with public interoperability, is essential for connecting all these systems, the question becomes, what cryptocurrency is positioned to lead this transformation? Which one has a massive reserve that could be gifted to the US government, sparing the need for a costly purchase? The answer couldn't be clearer. And the best part is, this aligns perfectly with Ripple's mission from day one, establishing XRP as the world's digital reserve currency. This isn't something you achieve by leaving it in the hands of a few retail traders. This happens on a much grander scale, ensuring key players in the financial industry are involved. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope this update gave you something to think about.